Welcome to our podcast summary of the episode, The Future of Intelligence from Hannah Fry with Demis Hassabis. The link to the full 1-hour episode is listed in the description below. If you find this content a real time saver to explore new ideas, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. It's been an extraordinary year for AI. We've seen chatbots, image generators, and a pace of change that feels like 10 years packed into one. But beyond all the product launches and headlines, what's the real endgame? Where is all of this going? Today we're diving deep into the mind of one of the chief architects of this revolution, Demis Hassabis, the co-founder and CEO of Google DeepMind. He recently laid out a fascinating roadmap for the future, from solving climate change to building entire simulated worlds. So, stick around as we unpack his vision. We'll cover AI's role in science, its strange limitations, and the profound questions it raises about our own humanity. Before we get to artificial general intelligence, or AGI, or sentient robots, Demis Hassabis grounds us in a much more immediate and powerful application of AI, solving the biggest bottlenecks in science. He calls these root node problems fundamental challenges that, if solved, could unlock enormous benefits for humanity. The prime example, of course, is AlphaFold. DeepMind's AI famously solved the protein folding problem, a 50-year-old challenge that had stumped scientists. This wasn't just a technical achievement. It was proof that AI could be a revolutionary tool for scientific discovery. But AlphaFold was just the beginning. Hassabis points to a whole new set of grand challenges. First, nuclear fusion, the holy grail of clean energy. DeepMind is using AI to help contain the superhot plasma in tokamak reactors. If they succeed, it means unlimited, clean, and cheap energy, which could transform everything from climate change to making rocket fuel from seawater. Then there's material science. Imagine an AI designing a room-temperature superconductor or vastly better batteries. And finally, quantum computing, where they're using machine learning to help with error correction, a critical hurdle. This vision is incredibly inspiring. But if these systems are smart enough to tackle fusion, why do they sometimes fail at high school math? This brings us to one of the most curious things about today's AI, what Demis Hassabis calls its jagged intelligence. This is the idea that a model can be a genius and a complete goofball at the same time. On one hand, an AI can solve problems from the International Maths Olympiad. On the other, that same type of model might make a silly mistake in a simple logic puzzle. It can be PhD level in one area and not even high school level in another. Hassabis says this is because they lack robust reasoning. They don't have the ability to pause, reflect, and double-check their work. To move toward true general intelligence, he says, today's systems are missing two key abilities. First is consistency, being reliable across the board. Second is continual learning. He draws a brilliant distinction here. Today's models are like AlphaGo. They learn from the vast library of human knowledge on the internet. But to truly move forward, we need them to be like AlphaZero, the system that learned Go from scratch and surpassed all human knowledge by discovering new strategies for itself. That ability to learn and discover new knowledge is a critical missing piece. Demis Hassabis admits that if he'd had his way, AI would have stayed in the lab longer to cure cancer before being released as commercial chatbots. But the world had other plans. What this created is a commercial race that's apparently 10 times more ferocious than the dot-com era. This has brought both good and bad. More resources have poured into the field, accelerating progress. The fierce competition makes it harder to do careful science and can deprioritize safety. To navigate this, DeepMind splits its effort, half on scaling up models and half on pure innovation, betting that you need both to get to AGI. But even with this approach, language models have their limits. To take the next leap, Hassabis argues that AI needs to break out of the world of text and learn to understand our physical reality. This is where we get into mind-bending territory, building world models, simulations that grasp the physics and causal mechanics of our reality. Language is rich, but it can't easily describe spatial dynamics or the feeling of an experience. To build this understanding, they're developing projects like Genie, which can generate interactive, playable worlds from a single image. There's also Veo, their video generation model that shows a stunning grasp of physics. Enzima is an agent that can be dropped into a video game and follow natural language instructions. Hassabis, a lifelong gamer, gets really excited here. He sees this as the beginning of an infinite training loop, where AI can automatically create and solve millions of complex tasks for itself in a simulated environment, a pathway to much more capable intelligence. Building these powerful new AIs forces us to confront some of the biggest questions of all. Hassabis has been studying the Industrial Revolution, and he believes the AI revolution is probably going to be 10 times bigger, and it will probably happen 10 times faster, unfolding over a decade, not a century. This means our current economic system, where you exchange labor for resources, likely won't function in the same way. Society needs to start thinking about this now, exploring ideas like universal basic income, or even new systems of governance. But it goes deeper than economics. If AI handles most jobs and we achieve a post-scarcity world, what happens to human purpose? This leads to the ultimate question that drives Demis Hassabis. Are there things humans can do that machines will never manage? His working hypothesis is that everything in the universe, including consciousness and emotions, is ultimately computable. He believes that by building AGI, we are creating the ultimate tool to understand ourselves. By comparing an artificial mind to a real one, we can finally discover what, if anything, remains special and unique about being human. It's an exhilarating but also deeply sobering vision. So what's the takeaway? First, the biggest impact of AI in the near term might not be chatbots, but its role in accelerating scientific discovery. Second, the path to AGI isn't a straight line. It requires solving deep problems around reasoning and consistency. And finally, the societal transformation coming is enormous, and we are not yet prepared. This is arguably the most important technological development in human history. What do you think is the most exciting or worrying aspect of this future? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.